This happened back in 2022. One fine evening, Wendy was driving from Madura to Cocklebiddy in Australia. The stretch was somewhere around 100 kilometers. The events that followed in that 1.5 hours of drive are definitely worth your time. So Australia has a lot of desert area all around it, and many times you don't get to see even a single human being along stretches. All you see are dead corpses of kangaroos all along the highway. The same was with this stretch. Driving between Madura and Cocklebiddy was not necessarily a very pleasant experience if you hate seeing corpses of dead kangaroos. But that is just the start of troubles. This stretch has a legend about it. There have been many instances of people disappearing, only to reappear as broken skeletons in a few days across the highway. But who believes in legends until you see them coming true yourself? Wendy was least concerned about legends. She was more excited about meeting her friend kaRam after so long. At first, nothing seemed off about the stretch. She was driving in the lap of Mother Nature, covered by the web of beautiful stars above her. Wendy was a very sensitive mind, and she did not want to kill any kangaroos and get a wildcard entry into the House of Sins, so she decided to go slow. There was a full moon, and Wendy was listening to her Indian guru, who was talking about consciousness, Lord Shiva and Mata Shakti. After driving for about 15 minutes in bliss, she sees a truck starts tailgating her. She was in a good mood and did not think about the danger that was looming in the form of that truck. The truck tailgated her for another 15 minutes, matching her speed to speed. Now Wendy was a little fidgety. Why was this truck trailing her at all? Wendy knew if she stops the car right there, it would have been over for her, because the truck was so close that upon stopping the car, it would have crashed into the backside of it. Wendy accelerates. The truck did the same. Suddenly, the stories of Cocklebiddy Stretch clouded her mind. The stories of missing people, skeletons, dead corpses in suitcases, and whatnot. Wendy decides to look at who this truck driver was, who's following her all this while. She sees through her door mirror, and what she saw ran the chills down her spine. The truck had nobody driving it. Wendy could not believe that. For a few minutes, she was in utter shock as to how this was possible. Wendy knew her end was near, and she could do nothing about it. But as they say, gods help those who seek their help. With no help in sight, trapped amidst the vast desert, without any mobile network, Wendy turned to her deity, Lord Shiva. She started chanting,
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya.
She put her foot on the gas and drove as fast as she could. Thankfully, the truck disappeared into oblivion. After driving for another 5 minutes or so, she saw a campsite on the roadside. With strength to take no more of this night driving experience, she decides to park her car and rest for the night. After sleeping for an hour, something breaks her sleep. A vehicle gets parked beside her car. Wendy wanted to go outside and stretch her jammed legs after being seated in the same posture for hours. She took her can of fruit juice and stepped outside the car, rubbing her eyes, only to see that she was all alone on the campsite. Everybody was gone. There was absolutely no one, except the vehicle that was parked beside her car just moments ago. She took a close look at the parked vehicle, and to her dismay, it was the same haunted truck that was tailgating her all this while. She was in utter shock. She drops her juice can and at once stepped in her car and drove away towards her friend's kaRam's house as fast as she could. Wendy was not even looking who was behind or ahead of her. Fortunately, she reached kaRam's home after an hour of driving at top speed. Wendy did not want to spoil kaRam's party mood, so she decided to act normal as if nothing had happened. After chilling for an hour, Wendy finds out that she has forgotten her phone in the car, and she heads out towards the parking area. As soon as she reaches the parking area, she finds a strange man standing beside her car. He was expressionless, emotionless, and somewhat lifeless. What took the living light out of Wendy that the same haunted truck was also parked beside her car once again. The man started walking up to Wendy with an empty juice can and spoke from a distance.
The juice was delicious.
Wendy could not believe it. There was nobody around her at the campsite when she dropped the juice can that this man is holding. Wendy jammed at her spot, couldn't say a word, couldn't make a move, couldn't even stop staring at that man. That man was certainly not friendly, and it seemed he wanted to kill Wendy. He was slowly approaching. As the man came nearer, Wendy somehow gathered her wits, closed her eyes, and surrendered herself to the divine goddess Durga. She screamed, "Save your daughter, O divine mother," and started chanting the Shakti mantra given to her by her guru. As she opened her eyes after chanting the mantra, there was no man and no truck. After that night, Wendy never saw this truck and this man ever again. But even today, she felt the fervor as she narrated her story to us. Nights still take a toll on her mind, bringing back those dark memories. But she now feels even more connected to Shiva and Shakti. And she knows that she's protected by their grace. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to kaRam Clips for more such real-life horror stories.